We're going to tackle a really modern problem today, that feeling of just being completely overwhelmed by noise. But the solution we're going to look at, it's thousands of years old. We're talking about the ancient art of silence, and why it might just be the most powerful, most radical thing you can do in our crazy world. All right, let's get into it.
But first, let me ask you something, and be honest. When was the last time you were in true silence? I mean, no phone buzzing, no music, no podcast, not even the hum of your computer. It's almost impossible to find, right? For most of us, that kind of deep quiet is just gone.
And hey, if you feel that way, you are not imagining it. There's actually a name for this whole condition, the tyranny of the loud. It's this constant barrage of noise where that quiet inner part of yourself, your own thoughts, your own soul, can barely get a word in.
And this goes way deeper than just the sounds you hear with your ears. We're living in a state of what you could call auditory and digital congestion. It's not just noise, it's this relentless pressure to talk, to post, to text, to fill every single empty second with something.
So, what's the result of all this? We've ended up in an attention economy. Seriously, our attention, our words, even our opinions have literally become products to be packaged up and sold. In a world that never ever stops talking, choosing to be silent isn't being passive. No way, it's a powerful act of rebellion.
So, if that's the problem, what's the answer? Well, like I said, we've got to look back. Way back. Let's explore this ancient idea, the intentional, powerful vow of silence.
And this idea of powerful silence, it's woven into some of the most profound sacred stories. Just think about Mariam, or Mary. Right after the miraculous birth of Jesus, her community is questioning her. And what's her divinely guided response? Total silence. It was this incredible act of faith, of trusting that a higher power would speak for her. And you see it again with the prophet Zechariah. He was commanded to be silent for 3 days, right before he got the news that he would have a son. In both stories, silence isn't empty. It's a sacred space, a vessel, carved out to prepare for a miracle. This brings us to this really fascinating concept from the Islamic tradition called Sawm as-Samt. It literally means the fast of silence. Now, this idea completely flips the script on what we think of as fasting. It's not about what goes into your mouth. It's about regulating what comes out of it. The entire focus shifts to our output.
But here's the thing. Holding your tongue isn't just about being quiet for the sake of being quiet. Nope. The real goal is to create an inner space for a higher kind of consciousness to emerge. A deep awareness that, in Islam, is the ultimate spiritual goal.
And that core concept has a name, muraqabah. The word itself comes from a root that means to watch or to observe. Spiritually, it's this constant, unshakable knowledge, this conviction that God is aware of everything you do and think, your inner states and your outer states. It's a state of total, vigilant awareness of your connection to the divine. And we have this absolutely beautiful definition of the state from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He called it spiritual excellence, or al-ihsan. He said it is to worship Allah as if you see Him, for if you do not see Him, He certainly sees you. I mean, wow, that's really the peak of faith, isn't it? Being completely and totally mindful of God's presence at all times.
Now you might be thinking, hey, this sounds a lot like the mindfulness I hear about all the time. And you're on the right track, but there's a huge fundamental difference. Secular mindfulness is really about self-awareness, right, for therapeutic benefits. But muraqabah is all about God-awareness. Its goal isn't just to feel better psychologically. It's a whole theological framework aimed at achieving spiritual excellence.
Okay, so how does this all actually work in practice? Well, think of it as an inner journey, one that moves in stages from a simple external action to a really deep internal state of being. The Sufi masters actually had 2 different words for this. First, there's samt. That's the silence of the tongue, the physical act of just not talking. That's kind of like level 1. But that's really just the training ground. The ultimate goal, the real prize, is sukut, and that's the silence of the heart. That's that inner stillness where your mind is finally wonderfully free from all its own non-stop distracting chatter. The great scholar Al-Ghazali had this absolutely perfect metaphor for it. He said the human heart is like a mirror, and that mirror gets polished and shiny through mindfulness and the remembrance of God. But it gets all tarnished and cloudy from distraction, from heedlessness, from sin. So this practice of silence, it's how you polish the mirror.
Now, I know polishing the mirror of the heart might sound a little abstract, a little mystical, but believe me, this idea has incredibly direct and practical uses in our hyper-connected world today.
So let's bring it all down to earth with a practical guide to finding that stillness.
Because you can literally draw a straight line through history here. It starts with those sacred Quranic vows of silence, then it evolves into the quiet, contemplative practices of the Sufis. And where does it lead? Straight to the digital detoxes and silent retreats that are so popular right now. The language might have changed, but that deep human need for stillness, it is exactly the same.
And the benefits, they are so real. And they're recognized by both modern psychology and ancient spiritual wisdom. When you start to cultivate this kind of deep mindfulness, you reduce stress, you boost your focus and memory, you become less reactive, you improve your relationships. I mean, the list goes on. Ultimately, you find this incredible state of tranquil calm. That's the real reward.
So how can you actually do this? Right now, here's a simple 4-step guide. Okay, step 1, start small with a lingual fast. Just try for 1 hour, no spoken words. That's it. See how it feels. Step 2, the digital fast. Now this is the big one for us today. You have to realize that texting, typing, posting, it's all just an extension of your tongue. So for that hour, put it all down. Step 3, fill the silence. This isn't about creating an empty void. It's about filling that new space with that mindful awareness, that feeling of muraqabah. You can use a simple phrase, a remembrance, as an anchor to just gently bring your mind back whenever it wanders. And finally, step 4, this is where you see a real shift in your whole perspective. You'll slowly start to evolve from being a constant talker to a quiet witness of the world.
At the end of the day, this fast of silence is really just an invitation. It's a chance to quiet all the noise that's going out so that you can finally, maybe, tune into what's trying to come in. Which leaves us all with one big question to sit with. If you really just stop talking for a little while, what might you finally be able to hear?